And if you look at our name, there are two components. One, it's companies. Two, it's intellectual property rights. Now, those are the reasons why we were established in 2014, because basically what we do as an establishment of government is we register companies of all types. We register your private companies if you want to go into business. We register your personal liability companies. We register your cooperatives. We register non-profit companies. Those are the types of companies that you establish when you don't want to make money, but you want to help people. An example of a non-profit company that comes to my mind is the Nelson Mandela Children's Fund. That's an example of a non-profit company that I can talk about because it is there for the sole purpose of helping out all those destitute children. Okay, so this is what we do, and this is the reason why we exist. We register companies, but people know us as a registration office of companies. But I'm here to tell you that not only do we register companies, but we also register what is called intellectual property rights. And that's the subject of our discussion really today, intellectual property. In other words, if you are out there and you are a student, you've got a very beautiful idea, we are the people to talk about. Don't tell your friend about the beautiful idea that you have before talking to CIBC. Okay, because we are responsible for making sure that that brilliant idea that you have is protected before you can start talking to anybody about it. Otherwise, if you get excited about the beautiful idea that you have and you tell a friend or you tell any company, chances are you'll be giving away your beautiful idea that could have made you a millionaire. So that's what we do. Next slide, please. Today was a day that was designated by the World Intellectual Property Organization in Switzerland, in Geneva, together with its member state, as a day that would be set aside to celebrate human creativity, to celebrate human innovation. So, South Africa, may I mention, that is a member of the World Intellectual Property Organization. It is for this reason that here in South Africa we celebrate this day, because by virtue of our membership to the World Intellectual Property in South Africa. Now, CIPC is the intellectual property office in the country. That is the reason this day was given to CIPC to champion it and to make sure that it's celebrated and to popularize this day like all the other designated days in the calendar year. So this is World Intellectual Property Day. So your take home is, as students, you should know that each and every year in April on the 26th, we celebrate this all-important day. And in the presentation, you will know why we are celebrating this day. Shall we move on? Yes. Now, here is the theme for this year's World Intellectual Property Day celebration. The theme is on women. In other words, this year, the World Intellectual Property Organization and its member states are focusing on women innovators and women creators. And the reason why they do that is that oftentimes in society or in our country or in the world, women are not actually given the accolades that they deserve in terms of innovation and creativity. There are millions and millions of women across the globe who've done amazing things in the world, and the world is falling short of acknowledging them and actually celebrating them. Now, what is with ideas, by coming up with brilliant innovations, by coming up with beautiful, beautiful creations. So this year, the focus is on acknowledging all these women who've made a difference in society as far as innovation and creativity is concerned. Last year, the theme, like I said, was on youth. And a few years ago, the theme was on music. So each and every year, WIPO decide which theme they are going to use for the celebration of this day. Next slide. Yes, why do we celebrate World Intellectual Property Day? One, the reason why we celebrate it is that we want to create a general awareness in our country, in the world, about Intellectual Property Day. In other words, we want people to know that the 26th of April is the day when we celebrate people who are innovative. It's the day when we celebrate people who are creative. Now, who do we celebrate? If you look at those slides, I've picked up these two young gentlemen who, according to me, are innovators of note. Even though they are not women, but I want to use them as examples. If you look at the screen, I've got one. Maybe you know Nkosana Makate. We got to know as the creator or the inventor of the Please Call Me application that you and I use every day. This young guy, Nkosana Makate, according to the courts, he is the one who developed the Please Call Me application that you and I use. So these are the young guys that we celebrate, and many others in the country that we don't know. Number two, here is a young guy. I was fortunate to meet him in person. His name is Lufefe Nomjana. I want you to Google him after this. I was lucky to meet this young guy a few years ago, I think 6, 7 years ago, in a township called Langa in Cape Town. I was talking to people about intellectual property, and after my talk, this young man came to me and said, Mr. Koza, I've listened to you speak about intellectual property, and I think I've got intellectual property. And the conversation got very interesting. Then I said, Luveve, okay, what do you have? And what this guy told me really blew my mind. He said, Mr. Koza, I have come up with bread, B-R-E-A-D. And I was like, Luveve, you've come up with bread? Ever since I was born, there was always bread. So intellectual property is about coming up with something that is new, something that nobody has ever made before. And he said, Mr. Koza, hold it right there. That's my point exactly. What he told me really blew my mind. At that time, this young guy was a student at the University of Cape Town. And he said to me, Mr. Koza, I have made a bread that nobody in this country has ever made. And I doubt if anybody beyond the borders of South Africa has made this bread. I said, okay, Lufefe, tell me all about it. How different is your bread from all these other breads that I know? He said, one of the major ingredient in my bread is spinach. And I said, Lufefe, coming from the IP office, I said, Lufefe, I agree with you. I have never seen bread made out of spinach in this country, not even outside the borders of this country. So I agree with you that you came up with a brand new, brilliant idea. And to me, it was actually a groundbreaking innovation within the bread space. But fast forward, this young guy came up with this bread. When I checked him, he has opened up his first outlet in Khayelitsha Mall in Cape Town. And I'm told that he has opened another outlet in Gauteng, Sandton. Now I can see this guy moving to Tebeha. I can see this guy moving to Pretoria. I can see this young guy moving to all the provinces in the country. I can see him even going beyond the borders of South Africa. So I can see a billionaire in the making. So you are a in fact, in his community of kindness that we celebrate worldwide. These are the guys who change our world, okay? These are the guys who change our world. All right, another slide. Yes, now today we talk all things intellectual property, but question, what is intellectual property? Okay, there is an internationally acclaimed definition of intellectual property. It simply means the creation of the mind. Now, what did Luveve do? What Luveve did is he looked around and realized that, yes, there is bread, but nobody has ever made bread out of spinach. So intellectual property always starts with an idea. And after getting that idea, remember this young guy, when I met him, he was a university student. But over and above that, this young guy had cooking skills. So he got an idea to come up with a bread using spinach as the main ingredient. In other words, he started working on the idea. He started innovating the idea. Now, there are a lot of people in this country, young and old, who've got brilliant ideas, but they never work on the ideas. And if you don't work on the ideas that you have, chances are you might take those ideas with you to the grave. So I'm here to tell you that if you've got ideas, work on those ideas, think out of the box, and your ideas might change the world. And not only the world, but might change your world as well. Look at Luveve now. He is a billionaire in the making. And I know we've got a lot of Luveves in here. Okay? Next slide. Yeah. Then, after my conversation with Luveve, I gave him a few advices. I said, Luveve, now that you've got bread, the recipe that you have is your intellectual property. Your recipe is what you hide from the rest of the world. I said to him, come to CIPC, and I've got a few alternatives that I can recommend for you to protect your recipe so that nobody can steal your recipe. One, I said to Luveve, you've got an option of applying for a patent and protect your recipe. Number two, I said, give your bread a name just like all these other names, your Albanese, your Blue Ribbon, and apply for a trademark and protect the name of your bread. That's the advice I gave him. And fast forward, he came to CIPC, applied for a provisional patent. Yes, granted. And he is busy applying for a complete patent. And he also applied for a trademark, which means the name of his bread is protected. So that's what you should also do. Now, why do we protect intellectual property? We protect intellectual property because if you've got something that you do not protect, it's up for grabs. Anybody can take it and run with it and become a billionaire. That's why we protect it. And another reason why we protect intellectual property is we want to encourage all those innovative people to keep on innovating. Because when they keep on innovating, they are assured that their innovations will be protected. They are assured that their innovations will benefit them and nobody else. You know, the world is full of lazy people out there who never think, but steal people's ideas, run with them and become millionaires. So this is where CIPC comes into the picture. We are there to make sure that your innovations, your ideas are protected. That is our purpose and our role within the intellectual property space. Yes, another reason we want to create a respect for IP. You know, in our country, especially in Africa, we are faced with a challenge of counterfeiting. People always copy people's work and sell them for money. Therefore, we want the South African public to know that do not copy what is not yours. Do not copy what does not belong to you. but come up with your own fresh, original ideas. Okay, so those are the reasons. Last slide, I think. Yes. Now, when you've got an innovation, when you've got an idea, when you've got intellectual property, CIPC is there to help you protect that. That is our role. That's the role that we play in the intellectual property space. We register intellectual property rights, we register your trademarks, your patents, your designs, we register your copyright. All you have to do is, if you think like Luveve, you've got intellectual property, you don't have to take a trip down to Pretoria. All you have to do is visit our website on www.cipc.co.za. You go to online transacting, you go to IP services, then you will get all these four types of intellectual property. Look at which type of intellectual property you have. If you want to apply for a patent, you apply for a patent yourself. Okay, if you want to apply for a trademark or a design, or you want to apply for a film. So in a nutshell, this is what CIPC does within the IP space. Yes? Another slide? All right, I think I've come to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Another round of applause for Mr. Moja, please. Yes. Thank you very much, Mr. Koza, for this very informative information. I think it is something that we are all here for, that we all want to hear, and it also excited me to see that this year's theme is mainly focused on women, because if you really think about it, the intellectual property um, gender gap is a real problem. Just listen to this quickly. Only around 16% of patent applications filed through WIPO's Patent Cooperation Treaty are from women. Just 16%. So, what does this really say? A lot of creative, great minds are left untapped. So, I think it is really good why this year's theme had to specifically focus, on female innovators. And I like what he mentioned when he spoke about it being a very big monster, because it really is a monster. To our media team, I don't know if we are already live streaming. Are you already live streaming? We are already live streaming. Okay, awesome stuff. I like what he mentioned, that it also is a monster. And good morning to everybody who's just joined us from our live stream. Thank you so much for taking time to be here. Please do keep your comments and your questions right in the comment section, and we'll also attend to them in due time. All right. Oh, and also, just by the way, that spinach bread by the Spinach King is gluten free for people who are gluten free. So, in case you see it somewhere, please make sure to buy it. It's very delicious. And I didn't know that you can actually protect your own recipes. Yo, I've been losing out a lot of times, eh? Imagine, really imagine. And it really is a monster. I don't want to spill some. Hey, no, let me leave this story for later on. I nearly spilled some beans. I know you guys are gonna come fight me, but hey, it's okay. Thank you to also other members of the task team who have organized this brilliant day today, who have successfully put together this event and making sure that South Africa also joins the global community in celebrating human creativity as well as innovation around the world. Now, all the partners are present today, and each of them will get a chance to speak. Let us know what their role is specifically on this day. And right about now, I would like to call first up a representative from the National Intellectual Property Management Office, who is responsible for implementing the IP rights from Publicly Financed Research and Development Act. He is the Directorate of Media and Advisory. Please give a round of applause as we welcome Mr. Thabang Jase.
Morning. Are you good? Are you here? Okay. How many of you wrote How many of you took a taxi to school today? Did you have breakfast? Oh, okay. How many of you shop at Woolworth? No one. Or at Teggy Town? So we're talking intellectual property. I'm very happy and honored, to be here today. My name is Taban Jase. Jase means jacket. So in winter, you'll always remember me. So, yeah, I come from the Department of Science and Innovation, and within that department, I think all of you know it, eh? We're based in Pretoria only. We used to be called the Department of Science and Technology. Okay, how many of you know Dr. Blade Nzimande? Okay, that's our minister, eh? At least you know us. So within that department, there are various programs that do a lot of things. One of those things is the management of intellectual property from publicly financed research and development. That is a long term, but it only means anyone that gets funding from National Treasury. You know National Treasury, eh? Our taxes are collected by SARS, and then they go to National Treasury. National Treasury gives it back to everybody, including Nelson Mandela as the university and many other universities, or all of them, as well as what we call science councils. How many of you know the CSIR in Pretoria? ARC? Okay, so those people, they do what we call research and development. Okay, it's a long term, what does it mean? But you're going to do that as you go to tertiary. So I'm very happy to be here, and thank you very much, Program Director, for your introductions. Colleagues, and especially our students, we wouldn't be here without you. So you're really very special on this day. Why am I here as the representative from the department? It's because, like Mujalfa was saying, I'm also part of the family of WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization. So we do what? We manage intellectual property. So when we celebrate via WIPO, we also are part and parcel of that because we are in the same space. So I'm going to talk briefly to you about what we do, and then why are we here in details, and who are some of the women creators that we have all over the world, and especially in the country. But we don't have a lot in the country, so we are looking at you as the young minds to do what? To come up with this creativity, the innovation, so that at the end of the day, they'll be protected. Tato, you let me know. Okay, I'm going to talk about those four things. Briefly, it's only 20 minutes. I've already chowed 3 minutes. So, in placing the theme into context, I think Mujarafa has already told you about the theme for this year for World Intellectual Property Day is Women and IP, accelerating innovation. Why? Because like Tato was saying, only 16% of innovations, they are coming from women. But in the country, who are the majority? It's women or females. If you look at youth, if you look at older people, it's all women. So why do we have few women innovating when we have the majority of them? So you need to ask yourself that and do something about it. So this is an opportunity to do what? To celebrate women inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs, and to renew efforts to promote inclusion and diversity, to ensure development of innovation ecosystems that are accessible to all genders. So I don't want to repeat, Mujalafa has already talked about that. So in South Africa, like I said, the ratio of women, about 50.5% to men, with 9.5, falls in favor of women. However, this statistics is somehow skewed by an overwhelming large number of women over 65 than men. So that means you can say women live longer, but in the space of IP or innovations, you have fewer women, but at the same time, you have a lot of women that are around 65, so, and they are more than men. So this comes from United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. So nevertheless, to foster human ingenuity and creativity, it remains important to consider both women's participation and research relating to women issues. What about innovation or IP innovation and the NDP? How many of the people know here, I'm talking to our students, know the NDP or the National Development Plan? How many of you have read that document? Oh, thank you, sir. How many of you have read the Bible? All of you. You know, the NDP is thicker than the Bible. And everything that we do as the country, we get it from that document. So I'm challenging all of you to do what? To go and read it. Because everything that's said there, the target is by 2030, we should have achieved more as a country. So go back, Google it, and then make sure that you read. It's too long. You can just read the summaries of what the country is looking at. Okay, so that document, our Bible as South Africa, it says innovation is the primary driver of technological growth, and it drives higher living standards. That is what is contained in our Bible. So it just describes innovation as a multi-stage process whereby organizations transform ideas into new or improved products, services, and processes in order to advance, compete, and differentiate themselves successfully in the marketplace. So everything we're talking about ideas being generated. It can be from the lab, it can be from the bedroom, it can be from the garage at home, but those ideas have to be translated into something so that they go to the market at the end of the day. Because we don't want these ideas just remaining here. They have to be expressed into services and products that go to the market. So it is universally accepted that intellectual property and associated rights that Mujalafa was talking about, they are a critical aspect to innovation and economic growth. So what you're saying is, not every idea has a chance to be protected, because you may think that you have a brilliant idea, but somebody from Djibouti says, no, I already have it. Djibouti in Africa, or somebody from China says, no, that idea is already existing. So in that case, you cannot protect it. So at the end of the day, not everything can be protected, but all the new things that are not anywhere in the world, they have a chance to be protected. But you can still trade without protecting. So intellectual property just means the creation, the ideas, the hair product that you use, the names of whatever product you use, that is intellectual property. So anything that you do, the toothpaste that you use in the morning when you wake up, anything that you interact with is what you call intellectual property. So, but we're saying in the process, intellectual property holds at least one of the key to our future. So I'm told, and I'm very happy that my colleague here from TIA will talk about that. I'm told that China, America, maybe Japan, Korea, those guys, each and every day, there are hundreds of ideas that they protect. So you remember the car called Kia, the Hyundais, you know those cars, eh? So if you look at where they come from, we didn't have them before. We used to have your BMWs, Mercedes-Benzes, VWs, and others. But those guys, they saw the market, they saw the gap, and said, okay, let's do affordable cars, for some of the people that we are targeting. And if you look at Kia now, it's one of the beautiful cars. Eh? Now you have Haval, you've got Chery, you've got others. So that is all intellectual property. So the question is, in South Africa, why are we not making our own car? What is the reason for that? We've got natural resources, we've got trees, we've got a lot of things that we can do from the natural resources that we have, from our trees, from the gold that we have, from platinum and everything else. But why are we not doing that? Have you ever heard people complaining that the Vicks or the Zambak that we use and all that, it smells like one of the trees in a community? You know that, eh? Our grandmothers, our grandfathers, what did they do? They did what Mjalfa was talking about, to say, you don't have to do what? Tell your friend. Yes, you can tell your friend if you trust them. But what you need to do is make sure that whatever that you tell your friend, you've already done sort of what? At least provisionally protected. We're not saying you mustn't share information as student, but make sure that what you share is not what you believe is new. Because if your friend goes to the CIPC first and says, I've got this brilliant idea which can do the wonders, where does that idea go to? Or who will be the legal owner of that idea after your friend has gone to the CIPC to register it? It will belong to the person who goes there first. That's what the law says. So in a case like the university here, there is an innovation office that does what? Takes ideas from the research that's done, and they do what? They play around with those ideas. They say from the 100 ideas that you have, you may find that only 7 ideas have got a chance to be processed. From the 7, only 1 makes it. So for South Africa to do what? To be innovative, to come up with new things. So we need more ideas from you. We are old horses, even though we're talking about all these things, but we are trying to say innovations and creativity, they come from the young minds. So we challenge you to do what? To be creative, innovative. But if you don't have support, there's nothing that can be done. So in a case like this, we've got the innovation office here at Mandela. That is there to make sure that your ideas don't go to waste. You saw outside here many ideas. You'll see them during break when you visit the tables. You will see a lot of ideas that come from people. So you can do that as well. As student as well, you can do a lot of things. Mjalfa talked about Facebook and many other things, that can be done by students, that can be done by young people, that can be done by old people as well. Okay. We're saying here, if you look at UNDP, I don't want to talk more about UNDP and all that because I don't want to sort of intimidate you. I know you don't understand this, but they are saying about 50 to 80% of economic growth is based on innovation and new knowledge. I think that is true. If we don't have new knowledge, new things coming, definitely we will not have creativity. We will not have new products in the market. So the United Nations is encouraging what? It's encouraging all over the world for people to be creative. There is goal 9 of sustainable development. It implies that without technology and innovation, industrialization will not happen. And without industrialization, development will not happen. So we'll not develop if we don't come up with new things. So Mjalfa talked about what is IP, and I won't go back to that because you understood him very well. You can register, some of intellectual property you can register, others you don't need to register. It's just automatic, like copyright. But my colleague will talk more about that one. But other intellectual property, you need to register it. Okay, what is our mandate as the Department of Science and Innovation, particularly the office called the National Intellectual Property Management Office? It's very easy. We do a lot of things, but I think we specialize on one thing, which is management of intellectual property. So we are guided by legislation called the Intellectual Property Rights from Publicly Financed Research and Development. You can just call it the IPR Act. You'll know about it, our student as you go to tertiary and stuff like that. But it says intellectual property that emanates from publicly financed research and development. I talked about universities, I talked about science councils, only the public ones that get funding from the taxes that you pay each and every day. If there's any chance of intellectual property in the research and development that happens, if there's any chance, it should be identified. That's the first thing. It should be protected. It should be utilized for society. It should be commercialized for the benefit of the people of the Republic, whether it can be social, economic, military, or any other benefit. So this means if there's a chance that the research that's happening, I'm talking to our now NMU and the SMMEs and IP creators that are here. If there's any chance that the intellectual property in what you're doing, just go to the office, the innovation office of Dr. Kumete and the team. They'll be able to do what? To help in those 4 things that I mentioned. So, but when they do all those things in all the universities and science councils, and as government, what do? We always say it's us who did it. Remember, ministers and all of us, we love doing what? Cutting ribbons. So we don't do things because we are in Pretoria, I remember. But when there is something successful happening here, what do? We all fly here and say, without us, they would not have been able to do that. Is that okay? It's not. But we gave you support, financial and otherwise. So all we are saying is, at the end of the day, when Nelson Mandela University, oh no, I'm told it's Mandela University, when something successful, will say we could have built with the money that you are using for research and development. So in most cases, when they talk in cabinet or in parliament and many other places, the ministers, there's always a question, are you not wasting money on research and development? Who thinks we are wasting money? Don't fear me, eh? Who thinks we are wasting money by doing research and development? Okay, I'm happy that none of you says we're wasting money. So that means from research and development, that's where things come. So without that, you will not have new knowledge, you will not have creativity. So as the 4 things happen up there, we're saying human ingenuity and creativity. It must be acknowledged. Who does all these things? It's people, eh? So those people need to be done what? They need to be rewarded in monetary terms and otherwise. Oh, did I touch something? So I apologize. So the creativity that we are coming up with to make sure that at the end of the day, we have a product in the market. When it's commercialized or is sold in bulk, the jerseys that you are wearing and all that, the owner of that has to benefit from coming up with those products and services. So we're saying also importantly, small enterprises and triple BEE entities, broad-based economic empowerment companies, they also have to do what? Benefit from the knowledge that comes from Mandela. So all those things happen and we are happy. And we say as a department, as NIPMO, we have done what? We have assisted in making sure that there is success happening here. I know I have a few minutes left. So if you look globally, all over the world, we have a lot of people doing things. Remember, we talked about 16% globally or all over the world. Some of the people who have come up with innovations, that have changed the world. They're like Marie Curie, theory of radioactivity. You can Google it. You also you have Marie van Britten Brown, closed circuit television. You can Google it. So these are the people that have changed the world and they've got Nobel Prizes and all that. Who doesn't love ice cream here? You don't love it, sir. You don't love ice cream. So that means you don't love Nancy Johnson. Okay, you guys love ice cream, eh? Yeah, so you know who came up with the idea and came up with that beautiful thing that we eat all the time. That's Nancy Johnson, the ice cream maker. So without her, we wouldn't be having ice cream that we have now. I'm happy that we're gonna have it outside. If the innovator is here. Okay. Okay. So no, I've got a video of an innovator that we have from here in South Africa, and I would love you to have to look at it. It's just a three-minute clip. But I want to end by saying, before I show the video, I will ask my team up there to show the video. But we did the department together with other organizations. They did a survey to find out what's happening within the national system of innovation. They were checking as to who is more involved, what is happening, and stuff like that. So between 2014 and 2018, they did a survey, and the results of the survey are saying there is a lot of females within our institutions, universities, and science councils, which is a good thing. And at least 90%, 99.4% of staff across the technology space or the national system of innovation, they have a tertiary qualification, either a degree or diploma. So this is good because we're counting women. Most of them are women, which is a good thing, and they are qualified as well. So the innovation office here, if you ask Dr. Kumet, it's only women. Am I right, Doc? It's only women. That's a good fit. Clap for her. Eh? Thank you. I know guys will be angry with me. I'm a guy as well. And I'm happy to announce that at NIPMO, I was the only guy for many years. I've just been joined by two guys because I realized that the abuse of carrying heavy loads all the time alone was killing. So the 13 people at the office, there was only one man for, I think, almost 10 years. That was me. You can imagine I never had coffee from all those colleagues, but whenever there is a heavy load, who do they go to? There is a guy there, carry that load. And can I say no to women? Never. So there are many other things that women do that they've created. I'm not going to mention, I will give you the presentations. And so in conclusion, we're saying this theme, World IP Day theme for 2023, we salute women inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs at which institution here and all over the country and all over the world. And we are saying collectively we should renew efforts to promote inclusion and diversity to ensure the development of the economic innovation ecosystems that are accessible to all. And that is all, but let's play the clips. Let me go back. I want to show you one of the innovators that you know very well. All of you know her. It will just play. It's about 2.5 minutes, so that whatever that we're talking about, we're not talking about only international people, but our own. I hope you enjoy it.
Creating art in whatever form takes courage, no matter where you are in the world. Esther's relationships back decades.
In 1991, she was commissioned by BMW to create, putting her on the map of the first non-Muslim lives of Andy Warhol.
environment that is enabling for the commercialization of intellectual property that's generated through the university has had several initiatives. One of them is the establishment of a company, Innovolve. This company is established to deal with industry partners in order to transfer knowledge or IP that's generated to the university through the university. So they are the interface between our office and the external parties. So they do all the transaction, and it also makes it easier for companies to deal with another company. And this company is fully owned by the university and fully supported. So in terms of IP businesses, in order for the business to actually grow and get the product to the market. So they partnered with a private organization named Engeli Enterprise. They incorporated a business incubator named Propeller Business Incubator. And this incubator basically incubates technology-based businesses. It's technology-based businesses that are from inventions coming out from the university, we typically license it to an existing company, or we do a spin-out company to actually run the business. And I know the licensing is hardly very interesting for webinars like this or seminars like this. So I thought I'd give 3 examples of startup companies that have come out from the university. But what I want to also highlight to the spin-out companies is that it's different types of IPs that enable these organizations to